Yep, there we go. We're starting to go live. We're kind of going live, and we're going to go live. Here we go. We're live-ish. There we go. And we'll just see. We'll go. And here we are, live, as you would want to be in this circumstance. Hi, chat room. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Good morning. How are you? All right. I'm going to open the chat in a separate window. Oh, what are you doing, you slow bastard? What's happening? Resolution's okay. All right, that's just something else going on. Okay. I'm always nervous about Ecamm's choice of bitrate settings. Chicago, you guys locked in? You there? You with me? Yeah, hello? Oh my gosh. There's been a problem with the audio. Oh, I'm back. It said it was fine. They were drunk. They were drunken on liquor, and I don't know why. Okay. Hi, chat room. Hold on one second. We're firing up. I think we're streaming live. We seem to be going out. Sound off, people. Can you hear me? All right, we're going live in a second. We'll go to this booster shot. I got my green screen up with nothing in it. That's just a recipe for disaster. I just know it. But it's all crappy. Like, it's not. The lighting in here is terrible. Look at that. It's terrible. I'll just drop it. It's a mistake. Oh. Can he go far enough? Collapse. Just put it over here. We're fine. We're totally fine. I'm not going to get squashed, I promise. Just put it on the floor. All right. We're good. Hello, chat room. How's it going, everybody? What's going on? Good morning, everybody. I can't tell if it's happening or not. I'm not seeing chat room yet, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means stuff is going on. All right. Okay. Separate pages. We're okay. Yeah. Hi, YouTube. What's happening? Good morning. Hey, there they are. Now it's starting to show up. What's happening? Everything looks all right. I'm a little frazzled. My hair's a little crazy. I flew in from Vegas this morning at 6 a.m. because we got a Nerd Halen show tonight. Chicago, are you there? I don't hear Chicago. What's happening? What's going on? Are they on vacation and they didn't tell us? I'm gonna try one more time. Let's see what it do. Yeah. No. Connect on use. There we go. Yeah, we should be starting right now, and I don't hear from Chicago, so I don't know what's happening. Johnny, can you hear me? Are you there? It says Johnny connected. I'm going to restart the page, because obviously something's weird. That was odd. Start. Hey, there we go. Now we're connecting. All right, we're almost there. And 3, 2, 1. I hope it's connecting. 3, 2. Come on. There they are. Hi.
Oh, hi.
There you are. I lost you for a second, and I think Chicago's there, but we shall see.
Nope.
I see
They're
him
trying, and that was Devin calling before.
Oh, was?
Here's now.
Yes, absolutely.
Yay.
You can't call me on my phone because it'll hang up everything.
What was that?
You can't call me on my phone because it'll hang up everything. You have to.
Yeah, I know. Good to know.
Yes, you can only text me if you call.
Okay,
Yeah.
The thing is, we couldn't send anything to you, and you couldn't hear us, but we could hear you. I'm like, hell, we may have a you-know-what show on our hands.
Oh,
but
right.
Yeah, everything's working.
No, it's all good.
Everything is working now. Knock on all perceivable wood you can find.
That's right.
We're going to go on in 60 seconds.
I'm currently knocking on my own wood, where it will be fine. What? All right. Here we go.
Thank you, Nikos.
We're rolling on this. I'm going to start with a victory lap, though, damn it.
Yeah, you will.
Because that's what's up. That is what's happening. Now, my friend Andy Dufresne.
Andy Dufresne.
Andy Dufresne. crawled through a river of excrement and ended up a member of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
Could happen to anybody. I can hear a lot of clicking, but I don't hear Chicago feeding me. So let me know when we're ready to roll.
Hang on, let's see if you can hear the music.
Cool.
I
Yes.
have come here
All right.
to chew bubblegum
It's a miracle.
and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Live exclusively for WCPT in Chicago, standing up and speaking out, here's Hal Sparks.
Hi there, everybody. Oh, okay. A little bit of a feedback on me. That's all right. It happens. It's going to happen every so often. I don't even know. How do you even begin to take a victory lap as big as the one I deserve currently? Okay.
You'll manage.
It is no surprise. And by the way, thank you, Benny Loco and Hal Vickery, right out of the gate for super chatting us at infotainmentwars.com. We have the documents, which is more than Gordon Sandland can say. Now, okay, so over the, when this all started, when the Republicans would like to say, as we go through the last couple of weeks, and especially the last week, holy smokes, and all the stuff, and hello chatters, and we will definitely engage all you guys today because there's so much to do, and I have tons of audio to play, but I want to pay a special thank you to all the listeners and all the people who are regular participants in our chat room and all that stuff, not just because they are invaluable to this show, not because many of them are Patreon supporters, not because many of them super chat and are just a great member of the conversation, and that not only is it good to have you guys here every week, but also, like, when I was on the Pro Left podcast, they were gushing about how the HSRPM fans came over and listened to that and were engaging with them, and they were like, these people are awesome. And
Wow.
I agree. But even above and beyond all that, you guys serve as witnesses to the occasional bouts of greatness that occur on this show, by God.
You're like a
And
broken clock, baby.
twice a year. I'm like a broken calendar. I'm right once a year. No, but
Broken abacus.
that's right. I said early on in this that and many people will know that this was my gripe, that there was a lot of talk about how the Republican, that Donald Trump was trying to get, quote, dirt on the Bidens, dirt on Hunter Biden and Joe Biden to help him in his campaign. And I said, untrue. What Donald Trump was trying to get was a PR stunt by just announcing that there was going to be an investigation. When those texts started coming out in August, early September, of the back and forth between Volcker and Sandland and all these guys, they were negotiating like a contract negotiation between, okay, you guys do this, we'll do this, otherwise known as a quid pro quo. No quid pro quo. Yes, quid pro quo. And we will play the part. Yeah, we will play
I don't want anything.
Yes, we will play the I don't want anything. I don't want anything. I'm not, whoever's listening, whoever else is on this phone call, I know they've just started an investigation, so I don't want anything. I just want him to do what's right. But he knows what's right because Rudy told him what was right. So, yeah. So, it is a PR stunt. This is what he wanted. He wanted, and this was what I said when this all began, because everybody was like, they're trying to get dirt on the Bidens. They kept saying this over and over again. They're trying to get dirt on the Bidens. They want to get dirt on the Bidens. They want to dirty up the dirt, and they want dirt and dirty dirt. And I was saying, there is none. There is none to be had. This has been looked into dozens of times. This is, untoward looking. But if you want to start talking about untoward looking stuff, like the deals I mean, just the Eric Trump and Don Jr. talking about how all their money came out of Russia and how they got $600 million through Deutsche Bank during a period when Deutsche Bank's software that is supposed to catch hinky transactions was somehow on the fritz during the same time wherein they were getting the majority of their loan money that they were passing out from Russia, okay? Magically. Okay, but we're to believe that because Joe Biden's son got a job on a board of a company that his company, along with other people, put a huge investment into, which, by the way, that's how investment capital often works. You get a board position because you just gave them a bunch of money, you incorporated that money. You went out and found that money. It's like a finder's fee. You go out and find that money, you get it put into the company, and then you get to sit on the board and make sure that the money that you gathered from these other people goes where you said it was going to go, right? So none of this is surprising. None of this is, if you don't like that kind of business, you don't like that kind of business. It has nothing to do with Hunter Biden or Burisma or any of that stuff. But the clear thing is that everybody was saying Donald Trump wants dirt on Joe Biden. He was trying to, he was extorting or bribing or quid pro quoing a foreign country and the leadership of a foreign country to get them to provide him with, quote, dirt on the Bidens. And my argument was there is none. What he wanted was a replay of the Comey moment with Hillary Clinton, where Comey came out and said, there's something still going on. We're going to look into this, that we need to continue to look into this, her email server. There's, after Anthony Weiner's laptop, no snickering, was seized because he was sexting an underage girl, like the creep he is, because of her assistant having used the same email chain in that apartment or wherever they were. That made them, re-look into this thing. And he came out, Comey announced that there was something to this. Now, 2 weeks ago, we get this big announcement. Oh, by the way, we looked into everything. It's finished. Donald Trump's own Justice Department, under Bill Barr, found nothing in the Hillary Clinton email scandal. Done. Over. They put a pin in it. It is water under the bridge. But there was no one that doesn't know that didn't benefit Donald Trump. And what he wanted was a redo of that moment. And what he was going to do was extort Zelensky to get him to do it by holding up the aid and by making sure that he went out and made a public announcement. This was the lever, the quid and the quo in this circumstance, right? So what he quote he's going to put Joey Lawrence in charge of being an ambassador. Right. That's going to happen. It's okay. So but I said early on, this, and I'm patting myself on the back and trying not to throw my arm out, but I said this is not about dirt, this is about an announcement. And thank you, Lisa. And Sandland, who everybody's, said was going to be the nail in Trump's coffin. They actually thought he was going to plead the fifth initially. And then they said, oh my God, he changed his testimony. He's probably going to come out and protect himself. So what he's going to say is really, dangerous to Trump. And I know this buries the lead, and this is way into the testimony. This is 2 hours into his testimony. Adam Schiff is questioning him about this. Excuse me. Schiff is still on the idea that he wants the dirt. Schiff is still pushing this idea. He's still focusing on this part. And I stand by what I said, and listen to what follows up. So this comes from, this is at about almost exactly 2 hours in.
From Mr. Giuliani.
But he had to get those two investigations if that official act was going to take place, correct?
He had to announce the investigations. He didn't actually have to do them, as I understood it.
What? Excuse me. What did I say? He did not have to do the investigations. I feel like it's like Joe versus the volcano. I know he can do the job, but I know he can get the job, but can he do the job? I'm not answer. That.
Yeah, I need to see that movie again.
That part of it. Again.
Or what the president wanted, these 2 investigations. Is that right?
Correct.
And that everybody knew it.
Correct.
Now, that White House meeting was going to be an official meeting between the 2 presidents, correct?
Presumably.
He talks about how important this is.
It would be an Oval Office meeting, hopefully?
A working meeting, yes.
Working meeting, so an official act.
Yeah.
So by the way, when Sandland says it's a working meeting that Zelensky was going to get with Trump in the White House, the idea is that, and how this looks to Russia and everywhere else is, this is a closed-door, notes-free meeting like the ones Putin has all the time with Trump. And the pressure that this would put on Russia would be extreme. It would basically be Zelensky wagging his relationship with the United States in the face of Russia.
And in order to perform that official act,
Again,
Donald Trump wanted these 2 investigations that would help his reelection campaign, correct?
I can't characterize why he wanted them. All I can tell you is this is what we heard from Mr. Giuliani.
so Giuliani is conveying what they're going to have to do.
He had to get those 2 investigations if that official act was going to take place, correct?
He had to announce the investigations. He didn't actually have to do them, as I understood it.
So that's it. That's the amazing. That is the most Trump part of this whole nonsense. We got to take a break. Let that stew in you, kids. Let that gestate for a moment, and we're gonna get into some of Sandland's. We're all standing Fiona Hill this week, but also Holmes, and by the way, Trump is having a working meeting on vaping right now. I don't know if you know that, but that's. They're really focusing on this. And give us a like and a thumbs up on. Yes, follow us on Twitter at Hal Sparks and at JMillion on there, and of course go to infotainmentwars.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up right now. There's a bunch of you in the chat room. Give it a thumbs up right now. We'll be back right after this. My little jack keeps coming out of my thing over here.
How's your echo still there? Or is it gone?
I didn't have it. No, it was just for a split second, and then it was gone. It wasn't continuing. No, thank you.
Make sure I fix everything. No problem.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, Steve G. Thank you for pointing that out in the chat. The deliverable that they talked about in their exchange was the speech. It was not an investigation into Biden. Because he had Giuliani over there looking for this stupid server idea and trying to find out evidence on Biden, and they could not find any. I got to hold off. I got to wait until we get back on the air because, damn it, I'm going to... Oh, my God. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, I see. I appreciate that. What's up, Tom? How are you? I will, I'll see what I can do in this business. We just need to smoke. We know there's no fire. That's exactly right.
And 60 seconds, guys.
Thank you. And by the way, Amy, thank you for your Uber chat. I know you couldn't send via another way. I got your letter, and I appreciate that. That's very sweet. Act wants to know about the Cybertruck, the busted windows on the Tesla truck, which made me want it more. But we'll deal with that later. All right. Even people on the left still think there needs to be an investigation into Biden. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. It's just stupid. Oh, Kathy, I have some of the Fox call. Oh, that's a good time. That's a party.
This is Doris Davenport, host of The Doris Davenport Show, all local, all the time. I'm on every Saturday morning from 10 to 11, right before Hal Sparks. Now let's get back to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So, Trump was on Fox and Friends, and let's be abundantly clear. He says that Holmes, the assistant who was at lunch with Gordon Sandland, overhearing the loud, obscenity-laced phone call. Thank you, Paula. Phone call from Donald Trump. He says that call didn't actually happen. We'll get to that in a little bit. But here's Gordon Sandland on it.
And you have no reason to doubt Mr. Holmes' recounting of your conversation with the president?
The only part of Mr. Holmes' recounting that I take exception with is I do not recall mentioning the Bidens. That did not enter my mind. It was Burisma in 2016 elections.
You have no reason to believe that Mr. Holmes would make that up if that's what he recalls you saying? You have no reason to question that, do you?
I don't recall saying Biden. I never recall saying Biden.
But the call happened.
But the rest of Mr. Holmes' recollection is consistent with your own?
Well, I can't testify as to what Mr. Holmes might or might not have heard through the phone. I don't know how he heard the conversation.
All right.
Are you familiar with this testimony?
Vaguely, yes.
And the only exception you take is to the mention of the name Biden?
Correct.
Okay. So, Sondland backs up Holmes. The call happened. The yelling, the he loves your ass phone call. And overall, I mean, there's a lot to get to in what was said. But the primary thing that kept coming up again and again was, Trump pushing this whole idea that there was no pro quo. And in reality, of course, there absolutely was. As a matter of fact, I think we have that exact moment.
Let me say this.
Hold on. I have to roll forward. It goes on for quite a while. But the most important part comes around an hour and 13 minutes into Sondland's opening statement. And, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff I think that got missed over the process of this, but this was obviously key.
From President Zelensky committing to investigations of Burisma and the 2016 election. Mr. Giuliani expressed those requests directly to the Ukrainians.
Oh, sorry, hold on.
And Mr. Giuliani
I
also
overshot
expressed
it.
those requests directly to us. Secretary
hold on.
Pompeo.
This is where he's
Secretary
naming everybody
Kerry,
else. Hold on.
White House
There's
meeting
there is so
reflected
much of
President
this
Giuliani also expressed
footage.
those
It's
requests
ridiculous.
directly to
Hold on. There we go.
that
Back up.
White House call and the White House meeting. The answer is yes.
Hold on. We got to use the magic words.
President's concerns. However, I have no recollection of discussing Vice President Biden or
By the
his
way,
son
he keeps
on that
eliminating
call or after
Biden
the
from his
call.
conversation to protect himself.
I know that members of this committee frequently frame these complicated issues in the form of a simple question. Was there a quid pro quo? As I testified previously, with regard to the requested White House call and the White House meeting, the answer is yes.
The what?
Mr.
Excuse me, what?
As I testified previously, with regard to the requested White House call and the White House meeting, the answer is yes.
Oh. Well, what do you know?
Mr. Giuliani conveyed to Secretary Perry, Ambassador Volker, and others that President Trump wanted a public statement from President Zelensky committing to investigations of Burisma and the 2016 election. Mr. Giuliani expressed those requests directly to the Ukrainians, and Mr. Giuliani also expressed those requests directly to us.
So there's a couple of things that Sandland is doing here, by the way. He is continuing to eliminate the idea that he knew that Burisma and Biden were connected in any way. This is some sort of legal cover from what he said during his closed-door testimony between him and his relation with information beforehand. That it's going to sound like, beg your pardon, and people were saying, it's quieter.
Mr. Giuliani,
so the
White House call and the White House meeting, it issues.
There was a. Is that louder? I can't tell. Can you hear it all right? All right.
About the president's concerns. However, I have no recollection of discussing Vice President Biden or his son on that call.
He keeps protecting himself by saying that is crucial to what his earlier testimony was. For some reason,
frame these complicated issues in the form of a simple question: was there a quid pro quo? As I testified previously, with regard to the requested White House call and the White House meeting, the answer is yes.
Okay, so he basically, it says that the quid pro quo was based entirely, as far as he was concerned, at least as far as his discernment of it, on the announcement. That was the thing, and that is a crucial aspect of this. Again, this is a redo of the Comey moment. This is what they're setting up. And what's really important for people to understand is that their focus became getting this announcement, not the actual investigation. Now, backstory to this is Rudy Giuliani, and then later on with Bill Barr running around all summer, were looking for dirt on the Bidens to as part of this investigation. They found none. They were also looking for this, quote-unquote, the server. They were, because Trump was making them chase down this fantasy that somehow the CrowdStrike, the DNC, to protect themselves from their weird plan to throw the election to Hillary Clinton by hacking their own servers and hiring CrowdStrike, that their big plan was, we're not going to give the server to the FBI. We're going to give it to CrowdStrike, and they're going to hide it in Ukraine. Now, why they wouldn't just throw it in the ocean is anybody's guess. I mean, you're in D.C., Baltimore's an hour drive. Rent a boat. The server is gone forever. But for some reason, it made sense to them, and it still sticks in Trump's brain, that they sent this server, which, by the way, there's like 108 or 140, depending on who you ask, servers that they used for all this data over time. And they gave disk images to the FBI, and CrowdStrike looked at the physical ones at one point. But they were using disk images. I don't know what kind of LP version of how they're keeping track. We want to see the reel-to-reel tapes, to see the splices. I don't believe that Lars Ulrich is a good drummer. I want to see how this section of Master of Puppets was put together. There's like 900 edits. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. There is just so much to get to. It's impossible. Thanks for tuning in. Infotainmentwars.com. And like and subscribe. Give the thumbs up. We'll be back. We'll get to Hill, Steve G. Don't you worry about it. Oh my gosh. And and we'll get to the Lev Parnas Nunez nonsense. That's going to be a party too. Holy smokes. Did you see that part, Johnny? Did you see?
No.
Okay, so Lev Parnas says he wants to testify that he helped Nunez make contacts in Europe looking for dirt on the Bidens too. So like everybody was over there doing this. And they couldn't where I feel like Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. Where is it? Tell him what time it is, Sikorsky. Like where is it? If this dirt exists and this server exists and they're so sure about it, they had everybody over there looking. It's like Hillary's emails. Not full throat recovery yet, but sounding so much better. Glad you're. Thank you, Can't Stop Lying. I've got to watch it, but I've been on. I did 2
I
full.
hate that thinking about coughing can make you cough.
Yes, I did 2 full days of vocal rest this week where I said no words at all, and that was crucial. And I still need.
Wow.
I still need like 2 days. And the problem is like once my voice starts coming back, I start singing around the house. Because I want to get my voice back, and I miss it, and it makes me nervous to not be able to hit the notes that I have. And I'm like, where are they? They got to be here somewhere. It's like, but if I go after them too much, I'll hurt myself. So it's really difficult. It's like it's like afraid to lose a muscle to atrophy, but then you can injure the joint.
Right.
If you overdo it, So. Thanks, Brad. Tell him what time it is, Skorsky. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I kind of want to go to the Trump Fox and Friends stuff because God, did you hear any of that?
The call, the never-ending call.
Yes.
On the Daily Show, I saw a
James, thank you.
supercut, and it was amazing.
Back in
Their body
60s.
language
Thank you.
is horrible.
Well, I mean, they're just it's embarrassing, and they're both
And that's who they go to bat for. That lunatic that they can't get a word in for.
Yeah. There's a couple of times it's interesting where Kilmeade, at least, and most of the time it's there to set up Trump so that he can bat something down, but he tries to play devil's advocate sometimes to push, and he pushes back, and fails miserably. But there's a couple of sad moments along those lines in this. Yeah. There's. All right, we'll try. Hold on. There we go. Start with that one. Don't play. Just hold.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So let's be abundantly clear while we're at it, shall we? That that Donald Trump is saying that you can't he doesn't remember the call with Sandland that Holmes is relating, and that Sandland just said, yeah, that happened. I don't remember saying the word Biden, but that's mainly to cover my butt with what we know now about what he said in private session, his testimony behind closed doors in the transcript, and why he was trying to, if I say I knew it was Biden, I'm part of this whole thing on the Rudy side, and I want to be on the ambassador side of this whole thing, and if I can make it look like I had plausible deniability about what Rudy was up to, I'm covered. And that's clearly what he's attempting here. But here's Trump talking about the call.
I can't hear the other side. The phone's up in the air unless you have it on the speaker.
Oh, this is him saying, no, you can't really hear the call anyways. He's got great hearing.
But the guy yesterday on the telephone, David Holmes, yes, I heard the conversation. Well, I have really good hearing, and I've been watching guys for 40 years make phone calls, and I can't hear when and you could be 2 feet away. I can't hear people making calls. I can't hear the other side. The phone's up in the air unless you have it on a speakerphone. You can't do it. Right. That was a total phony deal. That was a phone, again, call it deep state.
Right, but Mr. President,
call it anti-Trump people.
Your ambassador said that there was quid pro quo because you wanted an investigation into corruption, but it involved Joe Biden and Hunter
Favorite
Biden.
Quote.
And then it
Favorite
becomes
quote coming up.
Look, he's going after dirt on the Bidens because Joe Biden could be his opponent in 2020.
First of all, that's not true. Okay, number one, it's absolutely not true. Now, then you have to say, you saw Joe Biden, Joe Biden is corrupt. It's not true what he said. Now, what he said also is there was no quid pro quo. I want nothing. Remember, it was trending number one. I want nothing. He said that when he was questioned.
Come on, man.
And by the way, check out his lawyers. They're Hillary Clinton lawyers. This guy has Hillary Clinton lawyers. They're Democrats.
Here's what I want to know. Obviously, say what you will about Democrats versus Republicans, but it seems like Democrats have the best lawyers in the world. Because every time a Trumpy gets in trouble, they don't run to Republican lawyers for some reason. Apparently, all these folks, including Sandland, who's a millionaire, who can afford whatever lawyers he wants, apparently they all go get Hillary Clinton's lawyers because they're the best in the business. So again, Trump knows all the best people. They're the best. I know the best people, all the best people. But every time somebody wants to go hire somebody, they don't hire his best people. His two lawyers, one's in jail and one's about to be indicted. And these guys he's getting Hillary Clinton lawyers. All right.
Sandland. But he's sitting there, Sandland, yeah. He's sitting there with Clinton lawyers. They're passing him notes all the time. And he didn't put the most important phrase in his 22-page statement that he read. The most important phrase was, I want nothing. It's twice.
Right. The most important phrase was, after we rob the bank and we're at the hideout and we realize that one of the people in the room is a rat, we all are supposed to start saying, this is not stolen money. We're all giving it to charity. She's going to meet us at the strip club. We'll give it to her one bill at a time. This is like... again, his whole, I want nothing, just want him to do the right thing, that happened when the Politico story had already come out. It was very obvious, by the way, and there's no recording that he said this. This is what Sandland related that he said. And I don't disagree that he did it, but understand that Trump acts like it was a recording and it's any more, quote, like somehow what other people heard was hearsay. But what Sandland says that Trump said isn't, right? So, unbelievable. Okay, so, yeah.
I said it. I want nothing. I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo. Have President Zelensky do whatever is right, something to that effect. And they didn't put that in. That was the end of him. They turned off the television.
Yeah.
That's what
They
he
didn't
said.
put that,
now, with all of that,
Sorry.
of course you have to look at corruption.
So, by the way, again, yes, and thank you, Kansas Blind, for mentioning this. 773-763-9278 is our number if anybody wants to call in. There's so much to talk about this week and so many, lovely, joyous bits of audio. But again, they seem to be this focus on, as long as you don't use the words bribery or quid pro quo in your carrying out bribery or your establishment of a quid pro quo, or you deny this isn't bribery, but if you don't give me the money, I won't do the thing. Right? Basically, this isn't a quid pro quo, but if you don't do this, I'm not going to do that. This seems to be their entire legal argument. It's not a quid pro quo because I said so. But meanwhile, Rudy Giuliani, Sandland, Volker, all these folks are engaged in getting what the president wants from Zelensky in exchange for him releasing this aid. Now, the key point, and I would like to remind everybody, is that the two elements that were being withheld, White House meeting and the aid. Donald Trump had no legal right to withhold the aid. Donald Trump, understand this, the Congress had already allocated that money. Trump told Mulvaney to hold that money and not send it. Every day he didn't send it was a day that put Ukrainians in danger. And this idea that, they had money to get to this point, so it was just the money from that point on. If you want them to be behind the eight ball, sure. But the reason we continually give them aid is so that they can build up a defense, not just keep in this stasis of under, a constant barrage attack from Russia. So, but the primary thing is the aid was going through no matter what. That there was already hounds were on the trail. Politico had put out this story that had made I think Volker or Taylor text Sandland and go, "Hey, Did you just see this? And he's like, call me. That part of it, they knew it's got to go. It's got to go through. That money has to be released, or there is a monetary number on this exchange. This quid pro quo with the cash is so obvious, and they've already discovered it. So leave the money, run out of the bank. It's an attempted robbery at this point. We'll all meet back at the clubhouse. But the crime was in the process of being committed. It just failed because they took too long. And by the way, this is why the scramble. This is why Trump is so frustrated, because he's looking at, they're letting him know that the October 1st deadline is coming up when the money would have to be reallocated. Everybody in Congress is already squealing. A lot of the people who are talking to Zelensky have already said, the money should be coming. We allocated this a long time ago. This has no this has no bearing on anything. And beg your pardon, the people in the chat room for the awful troll we just had, which is a good sign because I think it means we're doing well when you get one that awful. So in doing this, withholding the funds was very obvious and egregious, and they were being caught. So there was a big scramble. Get this done before this date comes up. And then the Politico story starts coming up, and it all starts to spill. The Congress announces an investigation into why the money has not gone out the door. 2 days later, it goes out the door. On 9/11 at night, knowing that 9/11 will eat the entire news cycle, essentially. Releasing it on 9/11 was part of the cover. So the only thing he had left was this was the meeting. You make the announcement, you'll get the meeting. And then Russia will know that we are aligned with Ukraine and the new government there, and the people of Ukraine will be able to trust that their president is not gonna run afoul of our two biggest allies, the EU and the United States, and the biggest single funder being the United States. But the EU as a collective gives more than the United States. But if he doesn't do the announcement, you don't get the meeting. Guess what? He didn't do the announcement. He didn't get the meeting. That was a quid no quo.
Yeah.
He didn't get it. He didn't. They withheld the meeting. He still hasn't had it. There has not been a working meeting with the president of Ukraine, and there is no reason for there not to be one. And the longer that goes on, the more it benefits Russia. The money went out the door because Congress, a bipartisan group of congressmen and senators, went, what the hell is going on with the money? And an investigation began into why it hadn't gone out the door. That's why they released it. And they released it the night of 9/11 as cover for where it went. And then go, yeah, we released it. We released it. You had to. But they never gave the meeting. Never. Zelensky has still not gotten it. And there is no sign that Trump is going to have one. He's met with Erdogan. Erdogan, yeah. He's met with him. If he worries about corruption, he's met with him. He's met with MBS. MBS ordered the murder and dismemberment of a U.S. resident and a reporter. He had meetings with him after that, sold him military arms, and said, well, we can't lose $1 billion deal because of one cut-up dude. Can't do that.
Cut-up dude.
Yeah, we can. I mean, that's essentially what he was saying.
He got some cuts on it.
Hal Sparks made up a conversation. Hal Sparks made up my words. It was very, very illegal. He made up these words. Right. So we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, mega worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Thank you, Kathy B. Yeah, I like. Good Lord. I'm sorry if it's buffering. We seem to have okay video on our own side, yeah.
Buffering.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that?
It was a headache remedy
Yeah.
in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Buffer against pain. It didn't. It did not say. I was one of those like soft advertising days. Now it's got to be Excedrin, Excel, X. It has to have an X in it. So
Well,
yes,
Excedrin's
Hal Vickery
kind
says
of
it
from
was
the same
buffered
era.
aspirin.
It just hung in there.
Hal Vickery is absolutely right. It was buffered aspirin, which
There you
meant
go.
it
Yeah,
was
Oh,
easier
that's right. It was easier
on your stomach, right? Because of stomach bleeding that occurred when people do this. Is the theory. Buffering went back to the 50s. Yeah. New free Dow troll be gone. Yeah, let's see if I can. I don't know how my. Yeah.
Back in 60, folks.
Cool. Yeah. So, I'm gonna grab more of this audio and come back up. 'Cause it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And now planes look like big Tylenols. Well, what can you tell me about this plane? Well, it's white. It's got a big stripe on the side. It's got huge wings, and it looks like a big Tylenol. Oh yeah. This might be my favorite part of the whole. Where is he?
Can you believe his handwriting? I still can't get
Corruption.
over it.
Are we going to?
Yes, I can. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't know that for sure that's his handwriting. I won't buy anything anymore.
This is Ron Calgill.
And this is Robbie Earhart.
And you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So you know how Trump, he picks the best people until they've worked for him for a while, and they realize like they say something he doesn't like, and then he's never met them.
Ukraine matters.
Here we go.
At the used to work with Mr.
Necessary to put Rudy in the middle of the Ukraine, a country he knew little about, as opposed to let the people do their jobs there and just give them the same mission.
Okay, first of all, Volker, I don't know him. This guy, Sandland, hardly know him. I've had a couple of conversations with him. I see him hanging around, when I go to Europe. But he was really...
I see him hanging around. I see him hanging around when I go to Europe. He's your ambassador to the European Union. He's not your German ambassador. He's not your French ambassador. You have one of those too. He's the ambassador to the whole EU. What the hell?
I don't know him. Sorry.
I don't know.
Union ambassador, and all of a sudden he's working on this, and ask about that.
By the way, all of a sudden he's working on this. You put him in charge of Ukraine. That's the testimony from everybody.
I know him very well. Frankly, I'd like Rick to make a statement, and Rick would make a statement. He's a great guy. I think he already made a statement. Great guy. Rudy is a great crime fighter.
Rudy's been fighting crime forever until he learned so well. It's like Rudy is literally like the Harvey Dent of this whole thing. Whatever, you either die a hero or live long enough to watch yourself become the villain, or whatever that is.
Right.
Yeah. This. And my favorite is his take on, it's hard to say, but it's his take on Stefanik, the woman who, they were all basically throwing in front of, this is the woman, the congresswoman who was basically, she's the female Jim Jordan, with the exception of I have no reason to believe she ever looked the other way during repeated pedophilic sexual assaults. Whereas in the case of Jim Jordan, I think there's an abundant evidence in that area, and I don't know why he won't answer that. But here, Stefanik,
every once in a while
he's talking about her.
Every time you do something, you have guys like Jim Jordan and Meadows and all these guys they've been around and they're stars, but they've been stars. Every once in a while you meet a new star. I know a lot about stardom. I know a lot about it. I've made plenty of them. But I'll tell you what, this young woman from upstate New York, she has become a star. Her way, you can never define exactly what it is. You understand that.
It's that je ne sais whatever it is. I think the French have a phrase for that certain something. I don't know what it is.
You can just hear him getting off on his own BS.
But I've made a lot of stars. You did the Celebrity Apprentice. The only star from The Apprentice is Omarosa, and the reason she's a star is because you brought her in. She was awful, was the idea. And then you brought her into the White House, and then she told everyone what a wacko you were. Like, that's why. Mm-hmm. But when you did the Celebrity Apprentice, they were already celebrities. What the hell are you talking about? I made a lot of stars. Nobody even knew who Gary Busey was until...
I know what I'm talking about.
Hey, I knew exactly. Look, I knew that after I'd done the Buddy Holly story, the only way I would become truly amazing in the world is if Donald Trump tapped me on the shoulder while I sat at Schwab's in a short skirt. And he came up to me and he said, "You've got a little certain je ne sais whatever." And that's exactly what, and now I know that is just wonderful. He is just dynamite.
Say whatever.
So, and oh, by the way, there's tons of, he opened a plant that's been open since 2013. That stuff was that was a big story. He went to this plant in Texas that's been open since 2013. Who was president in 2013? I can't remember. To take credit for a plant that was open then is brand new. And he goes, and by the way, Apple is expanding in that area. But they've been planning that for 6.5 years. And this has been a part of a negotiation to hide, with the money they were hiding in Ireland all those years ago, after 2008, when everybody was crawling up their tuchus about this stuff. That's been a whole thing. So that being said, he goes at one point, he's going to open this plant. But there was something he said, I think it went by under the radar in this whole Fox exchange that I thought was, particularly telling, considering where we are right now. Remember who was supposed to pay for the wall?
We have the wall is electrified, so that if anyone touches it, we know exactly what's happening. We can get there within minutes. No, we built.
You electrified the wall?
We're building a fantastic wall, and without the wall, now it just means she's going to lose. Because one of the issues that I won on last time was border security, and you see where the numbers are. Now, until I got the wall built, I got Mexico because we're not allowed. Very simply, we have loopholes, and they're called loopholes for a reason because they're loopholes.
Oh my God!
All right. The point, that They're
call them loopholes for a reason.
Yeah, hold on.
Because they're loopholes.
Because they're loopholes, right? The fascinating part of this is that he says at one point, the military. I got military money to pay for this. That was the trick that was the loophole he used. I guess was that he goes, I got the military to pay for this. Where is it? 3609. I got to scroll this back to this point because this was. Integral to what he's talking about.
We had a good relationship.
Okay.
No,
Mr. President, let's talk about 2020 because we saw the last Democratic debate and the ratings were really
He's talking
low.
about
I don't know if that's an indication
Elizabeth Warren talking about the wall. They play
are not interested in these candidates, and maybe that's why some of these other guys are talking about jumping into the race. Elizabeth Warren says she's going to use tax dollars to take down your border wall. Listen to this. Would you ask taxpayers to pay to take down any part of the wall on the nation's southern border?
If there are parts of the wall that are not useful in our defense, of course we should do it. The real point here is that we need to stop this man-made crisis at the border. Trump is the one who has created this crisis.
Tom Honan said the reason that the numbers are down is because of the wall. What do you say?
Absolutely. We've built almost 100 miles of wall. It's going up fast. Army Corps of Engineers is doing it. We have the funding. I took it out of the military. You know, I've rebuilt the military.
Wait, what was that?
Oh.
What was this? Hold on.
That's another 100 miles of wall. It's going up fast. Army Corps of Engineers is doing it. We have the funding. I took it out of the military. You know, I've rebuilt the military. That's another thing we've done, which was...
Yeah, he deficit spent to make the, I guess, instead of our military being bigger than the combined other top 6 militaries in the world, we're now the combined top 8 militaries in the world. And Brad in our chat room is pointing out very astutely, there is no new wall. Everything that is being built is simply being rebuilt. These are already sections. And as far as Warren's answer on this, the easy answer, by the way, for any of the Democrats who get asked this question in the future is the only reason to tear down a section of wall that exists there is if it would be better for there to be a port or a passage for for the positive exchange of people to and from our countries. Like, you don't just tear it down to just tear it down. Like, you don't need to, by the way, because you can cut through it with tools you can buy at Home Depot. His magic wall, you can literally cut through with hacksaws. Like, I mean, if you want to do it by hand, you can, but there's motorized ones, battery operated ones. It's really sweet ones. I'm just saying, if anybody's looking for Christmas gifts for me. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, infotainmentwars.com. We have the audio. We'll be back right after this. I was holding on to that cough. I really was. Yeah, and we've added, and Hal Vickery says, how many trillions is the deficit now? The debt or the deficit? The deficit is 2. It's double what it was last year. It was double under what it was under Obama. So, and it's higher now. So, and not the debt, the deficit. The debt is obviously higher, but the deficit was twice as high as it was under the last 2 years of Obama, without a recovery being, without a need for a recovery. Lack of outlets for their power tools will surely stop anyone trying to breach the wall. That's right, Amy. Yeah, there's tons of this. Hold on. I want to grab another piece of Sandland's testimony versus his, that's his statement. Okay. Where is it? Yeah, here you go. 107.10. Okay. That's that one. So, hi, chat room. We should all sue Trump. You can't. He's a representative of our government, and they have to, that's one of the things you have to deal with. 107. Let's set this up. Did you watch? I watched all of this testimony. All of it.
Of course you did.
And
you're crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have, A, work mainly weekends and nights, and secondly, not be able to speak. So all I could do is sit there and tweet.
Ukraine officials in Washington, Ambassador Taylor received a communication that Mr. Giuliani was still talking with Ukrainian prosecutor Yuri Lutsenko.
There we go. That's what it is.
Received a communication.
There we go. That's the. I'm going to look that piece of it up real quick. Yeah. Yeah, Shell Bell did too. Kathy was watching it. Yeah. Yeah, Brad. I mean, it was. Oh, and I have to say, yes, Kathy, Jim Jordan and Ratcliffe and Turner were, and Wenstra were just like intolerable at times, and they're going to be. Like, here's the thing: I don't have a problem with somebody going after these folks, asking them legitimate questions, pushing them on things, saying this doesn't jive with other stuff, but the back and forth with like Jim Jordan just talking over Holmes. I mean, that was indicative of kind of their entire strategy. Just bulldoze. Cheney said nobody cares about the debt. That's because Cheney lived off the debt because he gave himself no bid contracts. Yeah.
And who's worried about what Cheney says right now?
Yeah, exactly. Well, WWS was saying that, and I think it is a Republican stand. It's these days.
I thought Dick Cheney was dead. Honestly, not gonna lie.
No. He's yep. He's got he gets a brand new baby heart every 6 weeks or something.
We're all learning things
in some sort of weird Illuminati underground laboratory. Hal, didn't Jordan pin himself? Nice use of words, by the way. Asking LTC Vindman about his job appraisal for those who didn't wrestle. It's never something you should do. Yes, he tried to call out Vindman like they didn't trust your judgment. Until they got there, they rolled in and they were like, "Hey, you might want to watch out. This dude's a little military for what's going on. We're used to talking, kind of in terms like as ambassadors and stuff where and this guy's he's a uniformed military guy. He makes a uniformed military kind of judgments about stuff, and then it turned out he was right.
Oopsies.
And later on, Hill, who initially had her concerns about quote his judgment, said, "I love this guy. He's amazing. One of the best uniform officers I've ever served with."
Back in 60 gents.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like, go.
You're welcome.
Stop calling Pence albino. No, he's not an albino. He's
And we also have a caller, Hal.
Okay. He's just vanilla. In the worst way. He's Kroger vanilla cake with white icing. That's it. Like, oh, Mom. Oh, Nunez, that material witness idea is going to be interesting, too, coming up. Did you see the Swalwell thing with him, Johnny?
I don't think so.
Yes, Swalwell entered in the... Well, I'll tell you in a second.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
Well, I don't care for you if the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Damn, puss-faced little pimpstick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
So there is invariably in all of this there's going to be overlap in who is trustworthy in all these things. And Devin Nunes, who initially, remember, had to recuse himself from the Russia investigation because of his...
He seems trustworthy to me. Careful how you tread when you're talking about Devin Nunes.
Yeah, his little nighttime runs over to the White House to help carry their
He's kind of my guy. Okay, all right, keep going.
All right, fine. Their exculpatory... You definitely want to move to Stockton and live in his backyard. Is that the dream? I would like to live upstairs from him. So Nunez, Eric Swalwell, in the middle of the testimony that was going on entered in. It turns out that Lev Parnas, who of Igor and Lev fame, both of them, Lev wants to squeal apparently. Lev is concerned.
That's a heck of a sentence.
Yes, Lev wants
to squeal.
His attorney has been talking about on Twitter, like he started a hashtag "Let Lev Speak." Let Lev speak. You got to let Lev speak. We never did get to see Lenny Kravitz at Ravinia. I'm just saying.
No, what happened
no,
there?
We didn't. That ball got dropped right on us. He wants to do this. He wants to talk, and apparently in this he helped set up meetings with Devin Nunes overseas to look into this whole thing. Oh, and by the way, so that tranche of documents that came out last night? Do you know about that, Johnny?
No.
So okay, last night around 11 o'clock, there was a document dump. Apparently, the State Department had until midnight to start. To start releasing documents related to a FOIA request about the exchanges between, Volker and Sandland and Rudy Giuliani and all these extensions. So, the back and forth about them. They had to begin by last night. And in keeping with the warning that I also gave about this BS nonsense about Rudy Giuliani butt dialing someone, which he just intentionally left to side conversation voicemails on a reporter's voicemail, pretending it was a butt dial. Don't buy, for honest to God, folks, please don't think that there's some element of strategy. I know these guys are idiots, but they do know stuff that has worked in the past, okay? And they can redo it. And in the case of Giuliani, he was on TV almost every night talking about the Biden conspiracies and CrowdStrike and all this nonsense and waving around his stupid, affidavits, which were actually just printouts of blogs from Breitbart or whatever. I've got all these things right here.
I should do that when I say I have a warrant. I just print out a bunch of Breitbart blogs.
Yeah,
I've got
total.
a warrant.
Yeah. No, open up. I am a police officer. Look, I printed up a picture of a badge from the internet. It's on this piece of paper. Believe it. So that butt dial was strategy, and it was fake. Just for the record, that is my belief. I'm sticking to it. And it was just another way for Rudy Giuliani to get his stupid talking point into the discourse. Okay, that's what it was for. So yesterday, the State Department had to start releasing these documents. They did not have to release them all. They could do them in part. So in and amongst the stuff that's actually valuable, they released about 10, 15 pages of emails that were showed that Pompeo and Giuliani were exchanging. All stuff, by the way, that Sandland had said last week that proved what he was saying was true. What they also released in that was the contents of Rudy Giuliani's fake White House folder that he was showing around. Remember when he had an envelope with the White House written up in the corner, which was not White House stationery? It was printed. He printed it up himself. Somebody did, his assistant or somebody printed a fake manila envelope with the White House written on it. There's a picture of that, the outside of that envelope, and then all of its contents in this document dump. Something like 60 pages of what they put out last night was from that folder, which is all just garbage. It's all just him, the same stuff he was saying on the news, but he can't go on the news anymore because he's getting, because he's staring down the barrel of an indictment. And his attorneys are saying, look, you can't go on television because we now know that all of these judges are now taking seriously what people say in the news. And if you contradict what you say on the stand in the news, very distinctly, which you would have to do if you went on the air, we can't help you. So stop going on Fox and Friends and stop going on CNN and yelling at Chris Cuomo. Don't do it. You're gonna, you're gonna get busted. And so he had to stop. So hence the butt dial fake and there's 2 whole conversations. He dumps all this stuff about the Bidens and then talks about needing money, which is part of the play about Trump's angle that people are being, are being made broke by, being tortured by the Dems because they have to hire legal assistance because they were involved in criminal schemes with him. I can, if there's anybody that, let me know, Carl, if there's anybody I should take care of in the restream thing. So that being said, there is this is another situation where the majority of what they released in this stuff is, to hide the parts that are difficult for the narrative that they put forward and that they've been pushing all week. What they did was put out basically all of Rudy Giuliani's intel that he was gathering. That was the whole purpose of it. So, and I, God bless the folks over at American Oversight who put it out. I appreciate what they're trying to do, but you're being played. And there's a reason why you don't start putting the stuff out until you get all of it. You can't just get giddy and start dumping whatever they give you, because what they will do is give you the stuff they know will eat news cycle stuff during that exchange. Now, one of the things that did stand out in this was a letter that they got. Whoops, I got to go to the regular photos that I took or whatever. Was an email that was sent, oddly enough, from Mike Pompeo, from John Solomon, who's a writer at The Hill, who was just kind of broomed for doing all this Trump defensive stuff that had no basis. He was basically acting as a Trump defender. Now, it was all in op-ed stuff. That I don't have a problem with. It's you have to take all op-eds with a grain of salt. They are opinions.
Yeah, it's an opinion.
It's okay. And as long as there's a volume of different sides, I don't have to agree with the opinion to find value in the printing of it, because sometimes, and this might be news to some folks on our side and a bunch of folks on the right, it's a good idea to hear the complete argument of the other side. So if you do have an issue with the methodology or the implementation of it, you can at least not be talking out of your buttocks. You can be responding to the actual issues, not the ones made up in your head, right? So I don't have a problem reading op-eds and stuff of people I disagree with wholeheartedly, like John Solomon. That being said, Solomon, part of this dump, they released emails that show he had sent, I guess he'd sent out versions of his stories to get okays from some of the people in the White House, and Lev Parnas. Lev Parnas was on of the 3 people John Solomon at The Hill was sending stories to clear them. Of all the people in the United States and beyond the borders of the United States and interacting with every possible iteration of the Trump organization and every other group, all of those, all the people in the world he could possibly be sending emails to and getting clearance on stories about Trump and what was going on in Ukraine, Lev Parnas was one of the 3. I mean, that in and of itself is extraordinary and weird, considering how dopey these guys were. I mean, they literally thought they were being sent on a James Bond-like mission, according to their testimony.
Wow.
And when were they sent on this James Bond-like mission? They were pulled aside by Trump and told, "I got a mission for you guys. If you choose to accept it, this taco bowl will explode as soon as I digest it. You might not want to be in the room." At last year's Hanukkah party, that's you may have seen a picture of all of them together. And I'd always seen this, and I didn't know why in this one picture they kept showing them all together, where Rudy is with Trump and Lev and Igor, why Rudy has a yarmulke on, because he's not Jewish. And and wearing one out of respect during a holiday makes total sense.
Sure.
But out of context, what is up with that picture, right? And ultimately, it was because they were at the Hanukkah party when that was taken. And and Trump apparently took them aside and said, "I've got a mission for you if you choose to accept it." And I guess they chose to accept it because they went about crawling up Sandland and Volcker and Morrison's keisters all over Europe. And again, we got to take a break, but let's go into the break really clear about one thing. All during the time leading up to this announcement that they were forcing the new president, Zelensky, to make. They were forcing him to make this announcement. They didn't want they no longer needed an investigation because they had been there, they had looked, and they had found nothing. Everything they found wouldn't stand up in court, and they knew it. So they just had to come back with these affidavits from these dudes who were sock puppets for Russia, who were screwing up the Ukrainian government for years. And when we come back, we'll talk about the difference between lethal and non-lethal assistance during the Obama and Trump years. Curious thing time is. Curious. We'll be back. I love how everybody is doing variations on Lev Parnas's name. Lev is all you need. All you need is Lev. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Can't Giuliani anymore. Kathy B, let's see. Are you ill? Are you having issues? Oh, an ear infection. Yikes. Big hugs. Rest well. One more Lev joke and it's a bang to the moon. When the levee breaks, there you go. Yeah.
Nice.
All you need is Lev. There's tons of these. It's great. It's just nonstop. It's beautiful. And thank you guys, those of you that are super chatting today. Greatly appreciate you guys. Thank you. Kelly O'Rourke, thank you for the sticker, the Keep It Up sticker. Thank you, Benny Logo. Thank you, Kathy B, as well for that. Say what? Said, I can't seem to make enough popcorn for the unraveling of the Trump administration. James Etling says, is Trump insisting no pro quo because they're mostly amateurs? I think, James, you're absolutely right.
Back to you in 60.
Thank you. I think he's insisting no pro quo because they didn't get what they wanted. You might be onto something. There was no pro quo because I failed. We ended up having to give the quid, and no pro quo. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the...
My cat is ready to play.
Aw. Does she jump up on your lap and like claws first and then slowly pull?
No, I think that's just a chud move.
Oh God, it's such a chud move. Like just and she's a portly cat. That's a lot. She's got a lot going on. Yeah. Chud's got her badonk-a-donk happening. Squid Pro Row.
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, mega worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
You know, James in our chat room made a really good point. He's like, maybe there's no Trump said, there's no pro quo. Remember that? Where he didn't say the full thing. He just went, there's no pro quo. And the reason I think he's saying that is because they didn't get away with it. It didn't work. They had to give, in the case of the aid, they had to give the quid without getting the pro quo. And in the other case, there was no quid pro quo because they didn't give the quid, they didn't get the quo.
I have no idea how you said that.
I'm very good at it. I'm just saying. Let's grab our caller before we get into the later in the show because
Quid pro quo.
Yeah, quid pro quo because they listen, we listen. That's a quid pro quo. We're fine. Oh, that's all right. Who do we have?
We have Roosevelt out in Midway.
Cool. Hey, Roosevelt.
Hey, Hal, how you doing?
I'm
Happy
good.
Thanksgiving to you and your family, everybody over there.
Thank you.
I'm sorry
You too.
if you're hearing the train, but I'm on the L.
That's
so
all
I'm
right.
gonna be very brief. I wanted you to expand on 3 countries: Turkey, Saudi Arabia,
And Russia.
Moscow.
Yeah.
Moscow, because on October 13 of 2015, Junior went to Moscow and spent $4 million on a letter of intent because Trump wants to build in Moscow.
Right.
Saudi Arabia, we all know the cover-up on Khashoggi's death, and Trump is with the Saudi prince. So I believe that this man has sold us down the river. In Turkey, he has, if I'm not mistaken, a Trump Tower.
He does. It's a
so
dual
he's
tower.
like an assassin.
It's Istanbul. Trump Tower Istanbul is 2 towers. Yeah.
Aspect of the impeachment that Democrats didn't even touch, but that's another way that he could be impeached.
Indeed, I agree. First of all, bringing those 3 countries up especially is great when you're just talking about Trump's big concern about corruption, right? Trump's big thing is, corruption. All I care about is corruption. That's that's all. He even said, I think on the Fox News thing, all I want is corruption. That's all I've ever said. Yeah. But, his big deal was we're withholding this aid to Ukraine because we're so concerned about corruption. We don't want to give money to these folks because we're concerned about corruption. Meanwhile, we are selling weapons to Saudi Arabia, we are giving aid to Turkey, and we are having sanctions on Russia. All 3 are monetary interactions. We have in the entire spectrum of behavior monetarily with these countries. All 3 of them horrifyingly corrupt. There's also dozens of South American countries that go through different fits and starts of corruption all the time. And one of the reasons why we give them aid a lot of times is so that their people don't stampede towards our border, for example. That they don't, that it doesn't become a failed state so they have nowhere else to go, is one of the impetuses for us to give aid. Trump doesn't seem to understand that. But he thinks if you cut off the aid, then they'll stop the people from coming. And I'm not sure are they supposed to shoot their own people at the border? I think is that it's bizarre. So, but the primary thing is we interact with all these, he's worried about corruption. That's all he cares about. I don't care about politics. I don't care about anything. I just care about corruption, right? That's what he said on the White House lawn on his way to the helicopter. And yet he wants to remove the sanctions from Russia, and he wants them brought back into the G7 to make it the G8 again. Vladimir Putin's salary as president of Russia is something like $140,000 a year. The average Russian makes $7,000 a year.
What?
Yeah. That's why it's a giant country with an economy the size of Italy, which is, by the way, smaller than California as far as economy goes, even with the Vatican, which is a big reason why Italy is so far up the ladder. So $140,000 a year. The average Russian makes $7,000 a year. Putin has a net worth of $200 billion. Now, either they have amazing interest rates in Russia, and he's frugal as all hell, or he's been skimming money out of his own country for decades. And I'm going to go with the latter. MBS. Beyond the fact that our own issues with human rights, women's rights, gay rights, all the reasons why we have an issue with the Saudis in general, like, I don't know, 9/11. Beyond all that stuff, MBS ordered the murder of an American journalist.
Ugh.
And Trump can't stop selling them arms in this process. And made all this big stink about Obama bowing to him. And then just Google, Trump MBS, and you'll see all the pictures of him doing the exact same curtsy. Erdogan had his security forces beat up peaceful American protesters, supplied it was in his country that MBS arranged for the murder of Khashoggi. He was involved in it. He, word on the street is that he has something on Trump. It looks like dirt on Jared. That is the reason why we gave him access to Syria.
Sure.
But none of these countries. No country is free of corruption. Ours certainly isn't. None are. But these three are egregious examples. There are also three areas where Trump can't wait to do them favors. He has no concern whatsoever about, look, Russia, they might be very powerful, but they're too corrupt to let them into the G7. You never heard him say that. You
Nope.
never. There is no way Putin, without corruption, has any of the power that he has. And that has never concerned Donald Trump. Our own intelligence community says Russia attacked us. Trump backs Putin. Russia is laundering money through Deutsche Bank. They are fined $461 million for laundering money. The money that was laundered during that time is when Trump got his loans from Deutsche Bank. But he's concerned about corruption so much that he puts a hold on Ukrainian aid. Not aid going to the Afghan government. And his thing is, well, I gave them lethal aid, and Obama didn't want to. While Obama was in office, the president of Ukraine was Viktor Yanukovych. Viktor Yanukovych put snipers in the downtown area to shoot protesters after violence was provoked by agent provocateurs in the crowd. You know whose idea it was to put those agent provocateurs in the crowd? Paul Manafort. During the time we were giving aid to Ukraine but not giving lethal assistance, Yanukovych was president. We also don't give the aid that we're giving to Iraq. We didn't give that same aid when Saddam Hussein was in charge. Does time mean nothing? Does history and progress mean nothing? It's goofy. We'll be back. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Jim Flick in our chat room says Obama sent anti-mortar systems, Humvees, and humanitarian goods because the Ukrainian army was still riddled with Russian sympathizers. Exactly, and it's the same thing with the guys, the prosecutors. This prosecutor's good, but that prosecutor's bad. That prosecutor, Lutsenko, and Shulkin, those guys who were Russian sock puppets. The Russian strategy beyond violent interaction has been through graft and corruption and ballot stuffing and everything they possibly can, is to undermine the Ukrainian government, to get people to lose faith in the Ukrainian government so that they give up on democracy and go, you know what, we'd be safer and better off if we were under the wing of Russia. That's what they're shooting for. That's the whole point. Every time I get the ad for the Epic Times, that's a YouTube thing. Sorry. And thank you, Can't Stop Lying. I don't know, like the chat in Ecamm has just ceased to work. It only goes for a short while and then it craps out, and I'm not quite sure why. Yeah, it just stops. It only goes for a certain amount of time. Yeah, I saw that tweet from Ivanka about a decline in public morals, Matt Monroe. And I'm like, yeah, talk to your dad. And happy Thanksgiving to you, say what, as well? I'm just rolling back through parts of the other chat. There are people still... good morning, Krista. Hey, folks. Thank you, Can't Stop Lying, for all your support in the chat room today. Love it. And Carl and Julie, bless you. Sorry if you guys can't broom out some of the trolls that we've had in the restream. I will fix that if you let me know.
60.
Just give me a heads up. Every time YouTube gives you an Epic Times ad, Epic Times is wasting ad money on someone too smart to believe they're BS. This is true. Yeah, go back to this audio piece. There's 154.50. That's what it is. Coming back in a moment, oh yeah. Takes so long for this to load. Wake up.
I'm Dick Kay from Back on the Beat, and here is the mega worldwide radio program with Hal Sparks.
Welcome back. So I got a Nerd Halen gig tonight, Decades in Irvine. Woo! Very exciting. Our longest show to date. Super exciting. So it's growing. It's turning into a thing. Follow at Nerd Halen on Twitter. For those of you that don't know, we are a Van Halen cover band that nails it, but we dress as nerds, and there's a whole backstory. But
right?
They were concerned, obviously.
This is a piece of the exchange that I think there. I mean, there's a bunch of parts of the. There are a bunch of sections of this where you kind of knew it was coming. We had heard a little bit about the conversations that had been going on. That we'd heard that Pompeo was involved. We'd heard that Rudy Giuliani was running around. Beg your pardon. Thank you, Carl. It's Decades in Anaheim. That's true. I kind of conflate those areas in my head. It's just behind the orange curtain to me. But you're absolutely right, Anaheim. So this is an interesting part, though, and see if you can guess why, Johnny.
Okay. And you wanted to help prepare the vice president for the meeting by letting him know what you thought was responsible for the hold on the security assistance.
That's fair.
Do you recall anything else the vice president said other than nodding his head when you made him aware of this fact?
No, I don't have a readout of that meeting, so I can't remember anything else.
And it was immediately after this meeting between the vice president and Zelensky that you went to speak with Yermak, and you told him similarly that in order to release the military assistance, they were going to have to publicly announce these investigations.
Yeah, much has been made of that meeting, and it really wasn't a meeting. What happened was everyone got up after the bilateral meeting between President Zelensky and Vice President Pence, and people do what they normally do. They get up, they mill around, they shake hands, and I don't know if I came over to Yermak or he came over to me, but he said, what's going on here? And I said, I don't know. It might all be tied together now. I have no idea. I was presuming that it was, but it was a very short conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that short conversation, as you would later relay to Mr. Morrison and Ambassador Taylor, you informed Mr. Yermak that they would need to announce these investigations in order to get the aid, did you not?
Well, Mr. Yermak was already working on those investigation, or on the statement about the investigations.
And you confirmed for him that he needed to get it done if they were going to get the military aid.
I likely did.
Uh-huh. So in this bilateral meeting, by the way, Trump was supposed to meet with Zelensky. They canceled it. They were going to send the vice president to the inauguration. They ended up sending Rick Perry. And it boils down to ultimately Vice President Pence had a meeting with Zelensky. This got brought up, and in the middle of it, Sandland brings up, "Hey, this stuff's being held up because they, this whole arrangement where they want them to make a statement, they want them to announce these investigations, or the aid won't get turned loose." And Pence just nods. He just nods. He doesn't go, "They what? Who said that?" "Oh, the president said it." "Oh, well, then fine." You know what I mean? There wasn't even a moment where he could be sycophantic and supportive of Trump. This was simply like, he knew. Pence knew. Pence knew all about this. Pence knew he was being sent on a dumb errand. Pence also knew that if he said it out loud, is an absurdity. Pence knew that if he said any of this stuff verbally, he would get, he would get dragged into this. So he's just like, It's more of the like sticking his fingers in his ears. So yeah. All right, I'm being called anti-Muslim in the chat room. This is fun.
Oh yeah, that's how I describe you to my friends.
Totally. Yeah. Wasn't
you even had an anti-Muslim?
And by the way, isn't Khashoggi Muslim? Wasn't the person who was murdered Muslim in this exchange that we're talking about?
Were you just saying you were happy about it?
You're right. You caught me. Yeah. So the important thing though is that Sondland's whole thing that kept coming up was everybody knew. Everybody knew what Giuliani was doing. It was not a sidetrack from this. This was directed by the president, and they were all having to deal with him. There was no, like dual track where Pompeo can claim, no, I didn't do that. This is this rogue State Department stuff. Now, by the way, this is shored up by what Giuliani said on TV every time he was showing his phone or his iPad to anybody who would point a camera at it. Remember, he was like, "It's all right here.
It's all right here on this phone.
It's all right here. It's all right here. It's all in here. It's right here. I didn't do anything without the direction of the State Department. It's all right here." I think that's my best Giuliani to date. I'm working on it.
Pretty good. A little bit of Donald Duck in there.
Yeah.
A little bit of
and it's weird,
crazy person.
Kind of half talk. But it's all right here. That was his whole shtick. It's I didn't do anything until the State Department told me to. And everybody else at the State Department started going, whoa. We're not in bed with this dude. Whatever he did was on his own. And P.S., we know him as the president's personal lawyer. And the problem that that Giuliani has right now, and that will play out over the next couple of months, which I'm very fascinated to see how this shakes, is he's either working on behalf of the State Department or he is the president's personal attorney. He can't be both, especially in terms of privilege. Because if he was acting on behalf of the president in part of, as the president's envoy through the State Department, if he was taking direct direction as a State Department envoy from the president. He could argue executive privilege on part of that, but no more executive privilege than anybody else would have, which is very narrowly focused. If he's going to claim that he's the personal attorney of the president, which he keeps, which he did recently, everything I did was at the direction of my client, and for the, to dig up dirt on this stuff to protect my client. Well, if that's the case, then what you were doing was in opposition to stated U.S. policy, and you were engaged in the withholding of funds from an ally who's engaged in a hot war with an adversary who hacked our last election and is attempting to do it again. You are acting as a foreign agent then. So he has to pick which trouble is better for him. So that part fascinates me, and I'm fascinated to see how that part plays out. And especially if Lev talks this week. I think there is even though we're supposedly past all the spoken parts of the testimony, and that they were starting to gather the information for the impeachment articles. Now, keep in mind, I don't think they need any more to insofar as having Trump on impeachment. Like, as far as the charges that they have, I think they're incredibly clear and concise. It's obvious. I think all of there was no quid pro quo, and I said I want nothing, is complete garbage when you hold it up to the entire exchange that Volker, Sandland, Giuliani, and all these guys were doing in text messages, arguing with Zelensky's, with Yermak and and Zelensky in terms of negotiating what he was going to say on camera to get the meeting and the aid. And you can say it's not a quid pro quo. That doesn't make it. It's, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And that's where they are. And he seems to believe that what opens and shuts this case for Trump and Nunes and Jim Jordan seems to be that if you rob a bank while yelling, "This is a deposit," you gotcha. You are legally in the clear.
I'm just thinking I know what I'm going to do this afternoon.
Yeah, right. It's a great, if that works. If that works, I mean, it's game on.
I forgot armed
robbery was illegal. That's right. That's that's Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
I think comedy is not pretty. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure. But that is the essence of their argument, that because he said there's no quid pro quo, then there is no quid pro quo, even though they were negotiating a quid pro quo during that time. And he didn't say there's no quid pro quo until an investigation had already begun. The analogy I made on Twitter was cops storm the bank robber whips off his mask, throws his gun on the ground and says, "I'm not robbing this bank, I'm not robbing this bank," and thinks that he's now free to go. It's absurd. Yeah, Amos in our chat room. Hands up, this is a deposit. This and WWS would like to remind you, Johnny, that banks are closed on Saturday afternoon most of the time. So you're gonna have to wait till Monday.
Well, they're usually open until like noon or 1.
That's
so
true.
I've got a couple minutes.
That's true. Yeah, you're gonna have to really race right out the door at the end of the show. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Now the Hal Sparks Radio podcast, Mega Worldwide, on the Sexy Liberal Podcast Network. Monday, I will be on Stephanie Miller's show in the 8 o'clock hour, my time.
You too.
Do the math. I don't know. Do it yourself. And then tonight, Nerd Halen show. Very excited. If I can just not wreck my voice. We'll be back.
Mr. Morrison and Ambassador Taylor have also related a conversation you had with the president following the Warsaw meeting, in which the President relayed to you that there was no quid pro quo, but nevertheless, unless Zelensky went to the mic and announced these investigations, there would be a stalemate over the aid. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that was an accurate reflection of your discussion with the President?
Well, that email was not artfully written, I'm the first to admit. What I was trying to convey to Ambassador Taylor after his frantic emails to me and to others about the security assistance, which, by the way, I agreed with him. I thought it was a very bad idea to hold that money. I finally called the President. I believe it was on the 9th of September. I can't find the records, and they won't provide them to me. But I believe I just asked
That's
him
another
an
thing I have to
open-ended
bring up
question, Mr.
after this.
Chairman. What do you want from Ukraine? I keep hearing all these different ideas and theories and this and that. What do you want? And it was a very short, abrupt conversation. He was not in a good mood. And he just said, I want nothing.
I know what
want
you're talking about.
nothing.
I'm
I
always
want
in a
no
good
quid
mood.
pro quo.
Yes. Hold on. I have to scroll back. I'm sorry I can't put the phrases in the chat. Thank you, Kelly O'Rourke. I appreciate that.
Back in 60.
Thank you. Look at that. 300. There's over 300 people in the chat room. We're doing all right. What's happening? Okay. Wait. Oh, and I didn't even change the title of the show this week. I didn't even. Yeah. Let's see. What do we call the show this week? Lev Love Rule. HSRPM. Quid. There we go. Sorry. Late update to that. Social alerts, and just remind everybody at the tail end. I forgot to send out the big cross the streams thing. We got 300 people in here, and I didn't even do the big, like, social media, hey, we're on thing. Crazy. Welcome back to the show. So, one of the things that's been, I think that the other Trump defense that they have constantly used is no one has ever been more transparent, and this is all secondhand knowledge. Well, first of all, most of the people with firsthand knowledge, with the exception of Sandland, and by the way, everybody's a firsthand. Everyone. Thank you, Golden Clips. Wow. Everyone in this had firsthand knowledge of the implications and ramifications of what was going on. If you want to say that they didn't hear directly from the president, that's not what most of them were there to talk about. They were there to talk about the implications of policy, of this using taxpayer dollars to leverage a foreign leader to give dirt and make this announcement to help a campaign. They were showing what occurred. They were interacting with the people who were being affected by this. They were on the quo side. They were seeing how the quo was shaken out. And the other one being is that, and by the way, almost all of the people with the quote firsthand knowledge that were named by Sandland, Rick Perry, Pompeo, Mike Pence, Donald Trump himself, won't show up, won't testify. And insofar as transparency goes, where they're supposedly, I've been the most transparent ever. Well, guess what? Sandland is not a note taker by his own admission. And he tried to get his staff together to get ready for his testimony, both the first time and when he came back, and to gather documents to verify what he was going to be saying today, but he ran into a little snag.
Tell Zelensky to do the right thing, something to that effect. So I typed out a text to Ambassador Taylor, and my reason for telling him this was not to defend what the president was saying, not to opine on whether the president was being truthful
Hold on.
or untruthful.
That was the part I was playing you
simply to
before. Hold
relay-
on. This is the other part I wanted. This is just more of his deal with that. So this is him dealing with the trying to get his information shared with. And I confused the testimony versus the opening statement, so we'll make sure that these are both there. So,
conducting investigations to aid his reelection campaign, and did.
Hold on, I'll find it.
Office of the presidency.
You do it.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I want to say a word about the president and Secretary Pompeo.
Here it is. Somebody else made a link of all they went through and point by pointed it. Oh, bless their heart. They made hot code points. I'll post those later if I can grab them off of there. But this was a crucial part of what Sandland was saying about his preparation
already
to do this.
provided 10 hours of deposition testimony. And I did so despite directives from the White House and the State Department that I refused to appear, as many others have done. I agreed to testify because I respect the gravity of the moment, and I believe I have an obligation to account fully for my role in these events.
Also, by the way, he wasn't completely truthful in his closed-door deposition and recognized that there were enough people coming forward with other versions of it, and they had receipts. And if he didn't come forward and straighten out his story and tell the truth, he was going to be in trouble. And he's one of those guys where Trump was already saying, I barely know the gentleman, which means you're done, son. So, yeah, that's also another reason.
But I also must acknowledge that this process has been challenging.
Why is that?
And in many respects, less than fair.
Why is that? How come?
I have not had access to all of my phone records, State Department emails,
really?
And many, many other State Department documents.
Why is that?
And I was told I could not work with my EU staff to pull together the relevant files and information.
By who? Who told you
Having access to the State Department materials would have been very helpful to me in trying to reconstruct with whom I spoke and met and when and what was said.
Well, you'd want to do that,
As
wouldn't you?
ambassador, I've had hundreds of meetings and calls with individuals.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm not a note taker or a memo writer.
That's understandable.
Never have been.
Oh, why not?
My job requires that I speak with heads of state, senior government officials, members of the cabinet, the president, almost each and every day. Talking with foreign leaders might be memorable to some people, but this is my job. I do it all the time. My lawyers and I have made multiple requests to the State Department and the White House for these materials. Yet these materials were not provided to me.
Oh, why is
and
that?
They have also refused to share these materials with this committee.
Well, that's odd.
These documents are not classified.
Oh.
And in fairness, should have been made available.
Oh, yeah, sounds
In
fair.
the absence of these materials, my memory,
You're like
admittedly,
Bob
has
Newhart.
not been perfect.
You what?
You're like Bob Newhart.
Am I? Yeah, it's like we're having a little conversation, he and I.
Right.
But let's be abundantly clear. The entire thing about totally transparent, everything proved, there's all a witch hunt, it's a hoax, there's fake news, no one's been more transparent, and it's all secondhand. This dude has firsthand, he's not Holmes. Holmes overheard this conversation with Sandland and Trump, okay? He's firsthand. He was sitting there listening to these guys talk. That's not hearsay. Hearsay would be if he didn't hear the other side of the conversation and he what was said was related to him. Now, that doesn't mean it's wrong. Then you have to make a judgment of the person that told him. In the case of the second half of the conversation about Trump not giving a crap about Ukraine, that was Sandland relating his feelings and what Trump had said to him to Holmes. That you take into account, kind of like an op-ed. But the conversation between Trump and Sandland that he could hear, Holmes is a direct witness to that. It's not hearsay. Sandland is a direct witness to the conversations that he had as well. And you have to take into account whether or not you believe, his assertions about what Trump felt or seemed to be motivated by based on that. And there's one way to answer that and tell if it's totally true or not, and that is by Trump testifying. It's the only way that part gets eliminated. If Trump won't testify, you can either read that as he is scared to, or he thinks it's below him. Everybody on the right believes he thinks it's below him. It's a witch hunt. It's a waste of his time. Right? That's why he doesn't have to do it. The rest of us all think that if he actually did that, he'd be caught in a perjury trap in a heartbeat because he can't even keep his story straight on Fox and Friends, much less under oath.
The old perjury trap.
The old perjury trap. So Sandland is a firsthand witness to what's going on. He had these direct conversations with Donald Trump. He had these direct conversations with Mike Pence. He had direct conversations with Mike Pompeo, with Rudy Giuliani. And what's their answer to him coming forward and giving full, truthful testimony? First, they order him not to. And does he file a lawsuit like Mick Mulvaney tries to ride on Bolton's coattails? Or does he file one like Bolton, who's trying to avoid testifying so he doesn't undercut the sales of his book? No. He shows up for his deposition, tries to soft pedal and protect himself, gets caught in the other stuff, comes out and realizes that when he testifies in public, he's going to have to clean up some of this stuff, and he has a choice: plead the fifth or straighten out his story. He decides to straighten out his story. He's
a great song playing behind us.
It is. And we brought up Dick Cheney today. I used to joke that I co-wrote this with Dick Cheney. Was in many ways parts of it true in that regard. But I pay attention to the next week, folks, because I don't think this part's over. I think one of these outliers is going to testify. I don't know if it's Perry. I don't know if it's Lev Parnas. I don't know if it's 5 other sideline people that were named by Sandland. It's going to be hard to tell. But there is plenty to impeach the president just on this. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks, everybody, for showing up every week. I love you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the YouTube channel, infotainmentwars.com. Thank you to all of our patrons. You guys are amazing. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Support the show in any way you can. Merch, whatnot. We hit 10K, so we can sell merch. Just look in the description below on the YouTube channel. You can buy them right there. They're right there. Look, they're right there.
They're right there.
Hit the thumbs up. Johnny Million is awesome. Thank you, Chicago. Thanks, Devin. We'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. Stay tuned for Dick K. And those of you on YouTube, stick around for the post show.
You did it.
That was a good one.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Shoo! And only one audio blurble, and I think it was you got a little robot-y on me for a split second, Johnny. I don't blame you. It's not your fault.
That's what I do.
Yes, I know. Wasn't you? I don't blame you. It's not on you, May. But it worked out. I think it was top of a break, and it didn't matter. So, thanks to everybody who's in the chat with us today. Stick around on the YouTube channel if you want to. Johnny, love you. Take care.
Love you too.
Yeah, and eventually, I'm gonna need you to set up a camera, and then we'll be able to really host. Just like
holy moly!
Oh yeah, for Rizzo.
I weep for our children.
I believe the children are future. Shut the camera off and let them stop screaming. Show them all the beauty of it. And by the way, you and I have plenty to talk about just because Crüe is reuniting again.
It's so weird. I didn't even have a chance to miss them.
I didn't either. And by the way, didn't they sign a huge contract saying they couldn't?
Oh, I don't know.
You remember that this had to be the last reunion tour thing? This must be it was a big.
Who would enforce it?
Well, the venues and all these places were if it's not really the final tour, then it cuts the money against us, and nobody will ever believe us again. It matters. But yeah, it was Live Nation or somebody. Like they signed a contract. Like you guys have got rights to our final tour, and it's never going to happen again. And that's how we'll know it's because nobody believes final tours anyways.
No, not anymore.
I mean, like even the Kiss shows it's end of the road, beginning of the residencies. You're talking about month-long shows in Vegas, Manila, London. They'll be they'll be carrying around a Cirque du Soleil show with them wherever they go, setting up for a month. I guarantee it. That's what's happening. Because how much money is honestly in Kiss hooking up with Cirque du Soleil, doing like the Love or One show, like the Michael Jackson or the Beatles show, but with the actual live band. Huge. No matter who does it. Cher should have been doing it. I'd have gone and seen that a dozen times. Anyways, that's my prediction. I'm just saying. So, and by the way, WWS says it would be cool to have Johnny on camera. I completely agree. Hi, Ginger.
Oh,
thanks. Drop the mic. Look at that. She gave us a drop the mic sticker. That's awesome. So stick around for the post show. I'm not going to do a long one just so I don't wear down my throat too much. But I'll let you go about your day, Johnny. Because you're
all right, you guys.
You wonderful hunk of man meat.
I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, peace and be wild.
Bye.
I like keeping Johnny on, actually. I don't mind him continuing to be here. I just always worry about my issue is often it's the connection is one more thing to worry about. Please tell me I've got a package that's supposed to arrive, and I want it to arrive before the show today. And I'm fingers crossed, you bet. Oh, nope, not yet. Maybe not. Come on. I'm for those of you that have been following on the YouTube side of things, I'm going to be doing a 360 show on my YouTube channels starting very soon. I got a 360 camera, 360-degree camera, where if you just use your device or you put on goggles, but you can basically just hold up your device and move it around, you can see a 360 view of everything around me. And I'm going to be doing stuff on the road, and like the patrons will get to see 360 shows. I'm going to do that just for you guys. And then I'm going to do these little shorter videos just about wherever I'm traveling to, and give people an experience of them. So I'm waiting for fruitcake to arrive. Aren't we all? So either way, that's coming, and the camera's supposed to arrive today. And I was hoping I could actually, fingers crossed, actually get it would arrive. It was supposed to arrive yesterday. And I was hoping to get it in time for the Nerd Halen show. So, fingers crossed, we shall see. But it's supposed to, mail has just started to arrive, I think, at that place, and it should get there in the next couple hours. I hope so. If not, because I was hoping to film tonight with it. But if I can't, I can't. But what I want to do is I kept thinking about, how do I take you guys to some of the places I go and show you the environment I'm in without it just being me spending another 2 hours in an edit thing making kind of your average YouTube travel video thing. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to give you guys more of a way to enjoy it. So that's what I did. So I and this didn't come out of the patron side of stuff. That just all goes to this. This is just me kind of adding value as best I can. So I got that my own free will and accord, and I'm going to be using that for you guys. So there you go. And yeah. Because then I can also show you parts of Kentucky where I grew up, and my my old elementary school when I go home for the holidays, and when I go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you can kind of go. It's almost like going as a guest. You can listen to me talk and all that stuff, but you can also look around. What's the amp behind me? Which one? We've got a couple. That's a Line 6 Bogner spider valve, which I love. When's your upcoming Florida date? Hollywood, Florida, the weekend of December 5th. Just happened. Just booked that. House Sparks 2020. Thank you, Benny Logo. I'm going to... Okay, so apparently Cenk Uygur is running for Katie Hill's seat, in theory, here in the Valley, which I would qualify to run for, too. My goal is to run for mayor of Los Angeles next time, though. And I was gearing up for that. And I don't have, the bankroll background that Cenk has, so it takes me a little longer to wind up to that point. So that being said, it might be worth a hot run at it just to mess around. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you guys on Facebook. I'm going to sign off with you guys. I'm staying on YouTube. And I think all of our trolls came from Facebook. That should tell us something. Thanks, Periscope, everybody who's on Twitter. I'm going to leave Twitch up because it's fairly, it's rarefied, and I need to get my hours up there. It always helps. And I love you, Twitch folks, anyways, too. So it'd be quite useful in Congress. Oh, boy, would I. Well, congrats. I'm glad, EO. That's good news. How are you coming to Illinois for the holidays? I'm going to, like Kentucky and Ohio for most of the holidays, and then we're trying to rig up when we're going to do this. No, I'm running for mayor. Cenk's running for California's 25th seat, Katie Hill's seat, the woman who was revenge porned. Kamala Harris got mad because they were calling it revenge porn, but as if, she said it makes it sound like the person did something wrong. That's not really true. People can feel wronged and use stuff as revenge against someone, even though that person was in the right. You can commit revenge against something who did the right thing. I don't know what the hang up is with that. I'm like, you guys know that I'm not a fan of the, mincing words, to make the situation better. If you've seen my recent stand-up, which, by the way, I'm going to post I finally got the video of my last stand-up special that we filmed like a year and a half ago in San Francisco, and I'm going to post it for the patrons so you guys get to see it before anybody else. There's still going to be some tweakage, maybe, but I think it's done. I haven't put titles on it or anything, but... But well before it goes out. Love my jacket. Oh, thank you. By the way, does anybody, you might recognize this thing. Anybody know what this is? Let's see if you can see what that guy is. Anybody know what that is? Can anybody guess? This little pin? It's actually sideways, sorry. It's right side up now. Anybody know what that is? Let me hear it. I want to hear what you guys think that is. Because it's pretty cool. Here's a hint. I got it in Philadelphia. Forcing Katie Hill to resign is hypocritical, considered on his own post. Agreed. I think the only thing that, the only thing that made Katie Hill drop out for real was her, that's right, Richard McNeil, revenge for leaving me, exactly, was the Iron Cross tattoo on her belly or wherever that was. It's not Masonic, although kind of close, but not really. Oh, hold on. See if I can. It is indeed a square, and it is red, but not quite. I thought Hill had to resign because she was having a relationship with a subordinate. She and her husband, who's what is my universal product code? It's great. She and her husband were having an affair with this person. Like it was very open and kind of stuff going on, and apparently she liked that person more. In this case, this was a campaign staffer. They were not a subordinate in that regard. This is a person who volunteered for her campaign and ended up working for her. I don't think that's the same as having an employee. I think it's on a moral level that's quite different. And secondly, there seems to be a big mix in what that was. That person didn't have a problem with it. It wasn't like she was exercising power. My communist man. This I love fruitcake. This is one of the original ideas for the American colonies flag that they presented. It's and they sell them in Philadelphia. Let's see if I'm gonna see if I can find the breakdown of it. Yeah. They have a couple of drafts of what it was going to be. And originally it was supposed to have 13 of these little dashes on it. But they ended up just having 6. But that was, they had them there. I was like, that looks really cool. So we may adopt that as our HSRPM flag. Yeah. Graphically sophisticated. It absolutely was. All this over a threesome. Exactly. 8-spin creamery. What did Rocky Mountain Mike say? I missed it. I have to roll back. Dar Diver, how, when everyone was screaming, why isn't Nancy Pelosi impeaching Trump yet? And I told someone that I felt something else was up and Trump's own evil would bring him down. I was right. Yeah. Part of the reason why this worked was because they didn't, they didn't go all in after Mueller because it just wouldn't carry the weight of it. And then it was his own hubris. He, again, I have felt like he OJ'd himself in this situation. OJ got away with murder and then thought he could get away with armed robbery too. And that hubris is what put him in jail. And I think the same thing happened there. So, how is this your best camera? No, the best camera's is in Vegas. This one I had to throw up at the last minute. So it's a little, and it's, yeah. And I zoomed it a little bit. Apologies. It's a little clearer if you zoom further out, but it's just too much of the room. So if it's not the greatest, I apologize. I flew in this morning, so I had to put this together fairly quickly. Apologies. What does that mean? I'm not hip. Which part? When are you in Vegas again? Will you have shows there around April 30th? I will be in Vegas again. I very well may around April 30th. If I can, I'll pick those dates. I'm doing Jimmy Kimmel's Club 3 times next year. I know that for sure. I just don't know what the dates are yet. Mueller's nature to undermine his effectiveness in conveying the import of his report. Yes, agreed. Trump's calls to Zelensky was the day after Mueller testified. Trump really feels he's invulnerable. That's what got him busted, Carl. That's what I really think. I thought so. The picture is a little washed out. That's why we can't guess what the pin. I see. It might be the digital level of the throughput today as well. Can't really tell. Sorry. I wish I had more time to set it up. I'm gonna improve that part. That's next, right? But I had to use one of the older cameras that I've had laying around because I was plugging things in a big hurry, and then I had I was racing, and I was like, "Where's my other stuff? It's not here." Mueller is even less drama than Obama. If you do a show from WCPT Studios, there is an awesome place called American Science and Surplus across the street. Oh, cool. I think I've seen that place. Neighbor has a "Don't tread on my flag. Their yard is nasty." Right? Yeah, I've always loved the Southern pride, and those folks always have the most garbage on their lawn. It's so bizarre. I'm at 1080. Okay, yeah. I'm not sure what I have this set at because like I said, I rolled out and did it. Stream size. And yeah, I can't change it mid-show, so it's it's set at standard, so 720. Sorry, it's probably upscaling it and making it fuzzy. What's your drink of choice? Just wondering. Looks like one I tried. It's the sour apple bang drink. It's just got caffeine in it, and I was like, I might be flagging after a night, and it was in the fridge here at the house. So, Lady Gaga's Enigma is on April 30th, and your show is around that time. It would be awesome. Oh yeah, okay, there you go. Plus, can't prove it's not that tattoo it because their body on our pubs. Where it is on our body and our pubs know that. Yes, this is true. There's a guy in North DeKalb who used to fly a Confederate battle flag. What a maroon. Yeah. The Confederate flag should have had cinder blocks instead of stars on it. Did you see the article about Craig Silverman, radio host in Colorado? Yeah, the guy who got pulled off the air for chastising Trump in the middle of it. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the station he's on. Let's not pretend we don't, that they operate under some sort of like free speech is the most important thing you could possibly have. We're all about freedoms. Hey, man, you can't say that. Click. What is the catch with the Javelin missiles that we sent to Ukraine? They can't be used against Russia, something like that? No. I mean, they have license to use them. They can't use them offensively is the theory, I guess. They must use them against incoming tanks. They are anti-tank weapons. If the tank they can't shoot tanks across the border. They can't do aggression with them, or we'll cease to give them to them. I own a Gadsden flag because I think it's cool. It was a rallying cry for the Patriots during the Revolution. I have one. I've got a shirt that says that. I've also got the Join or Die flag from the colonies with the severed snake, which is pretty cool. I got that in Philadelphia when I was there. I don't have a problem with the Gadsden flag and stuff. I have a problem. It's like the same thing with like wearing the American flag or standing behind it. Like a lot of liberals and progressives handed that flag over to the right and let them have it. For all this talk about how Republicans don't seem to see any of the flaws of the United States and just have an America love it or leave it thing. There's a large swath of progressives and liberals, unfortunately, that have it's more important to be able to hate the country than appreciate it attitude, which is acquiesce the wearing of and the sporting of the flag and what it stands for to other people, to the other side. Camden is doing amazing. Amy, thank you for asking. He's got his second loose tooth finally. His teeth are taking their sweet time. He's got one right in the one's right in front. They're seeing the most action, so they're coming. They're finally going. And Brad, I'm not sure about Illinois for the holidays yet, but we will see. I think it may be right after the holidays. Whenever you guys have dinner with your family, do you instigate the argument or do they? I don't really have arguments with my family about stuff. I have a couple of relatives who are Trump. They're not supporters. They're just they're almost like Trump defenders. It's very different. It's they fall almost more in the category of the people who are defending. If we don't defend Bush, the terrorists win kind of crowd. Endgame got a Grammy nomination this morning. Oh, that's cool for the soundtrack. So but I don't argue with my family like that. I just don't. And in our family, we don't yell in my family. Even when stuff is tough, even when people are really angry about stuff, we don't yell. The idea is that if whenever you start yelling, you've lost the argument. And I think that's crucial. Now, I can't speak for Camden's mom's side of things, but on my side and in my family, that's the standard. Because it teaches you to be a more articulate spokesperson and to have the ability to refine your ideas if you don't jump to yelling, if you don't use volume. Hal, did you see Sacha Baron Cohen's speech at Anti-Defamation League? It's phenomenal. Must watch. Yes, I did, Angie. And it's great. And I posted I tweeted about the Now This version of it where they put the piano stuff behind it like it's a YouTube, like one of those videos for, like motivational videos that they put. So, yeah. That's right. True fact, Carl. When you wear a flag, the flag must be worn on a shoulder, and you can also wear it on the breast, but the stars have to face towards your heart, I think. But the flags have to face they have to face forward. That's why it's usually on the right arm. Yeah. Hal. Yeah, Dad. Yeah, that's just not being volume heard. That's different. That's not an argument, though. Obviously, Hal, you don't come from a Sicilian family. No, I don't. Wow, Amy, that's great. Your daughter will be getting her learner's permit this coming June. I'll just wait because Camden will be sneaking out and having a joyride. He won't have to. Is that because you already killed them and they're under your porch, just like John Wayne Gacy? Is that why you... Well, I see. Yeah. I don't have to yell. They're already gone. Wow, Hannah, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, our family is very specific. By the way, if you want to hear the native pronunciation of Russian names, such as Lev, Igor, Yermak, I can record it and send them to you. Yes, that's a great idea. Lev. Chemenchis Naya Tumlucha. How the right is a place of honor. The officer of higher rank stands to the right. The flag is worn on the right sleeve for the same reason. Gotcha. Yeah, that's right, Brad. You tell him, Tom. Richard McNeil, my family yells just talking, chalk it up to being a hot-headed Irishman. Yeah, there's a difference between speaking loud, because everyone's talking at the same time, and yelling at each other. Hey, Camden, dinner's ready. The Union must be on the left if the flag is hanger mounted. Yeah. My daughter informed me that I'm halfway to 80. Oh, well, I'm halfway to 100, so there. I'm feeling fine. Feeling darn good at 50. All right. I'm so jonesing for that package right now. I'm like, I so want to check I'm like, where is bloody hell? I gotta mute that so I pull the cable out. It doesn't make a weird noise. Where in the hell is my package? It was supposed to arrive yesterday, and I'm a bit mad. See if it's out for delivery. That thing where you're like, oh, I love out for delivery. That's so fun. Let's see, what was I gonna? Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the the ability you guys to hold on, copying something. The ability to give you guys kind of a 360 tour of where I'm going. So I think one of the first places I'm going to go is to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So if you've never been, I'll take you there 360 over the New Year's break. But if there's anywhere in LA you'd like to see, from my perspective, and kind of go almost as a guest, let me know in the comments below, and wherever else. Send me a message on Patreon, especially, where you'd like to see. See if I can hike up to the Hollywood sign, that kind of stuff. Hal notices my joke like I enjoy David Pakman. Hal Sparks, the Union faces forward when displayed on a sleeve or vehicle. The flag always advances, not retreats, as if it was on a pole being held by a flag bearer. That's right. So Union right on the right sleeve. This is true. Oh, I see. Gotcha. Yes, the stripes forward on the right sleeve. Go to Winchell's Donuts. Oh yeah, the big donut. Absolutely. Let's see. Where is it? It just says, I don't know. Damn it. It's not going to get here today, is it? It's just going to be annoying. It's going to show up tomorrow when my mailbox guy isn't even there. God. So rough. I'm 10% of the way to 520 goals, Angel. You're right. That's a good one to have, Can't Stop Lying. You and me both, brother. Like, I still think we're children until we reach 300 years old, so that's my goal. It's an unpopular opinion. I want Garth Brooks on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and no Chris Gaines don't count, so everyone shut up. He's not rock and roll. It's Country Music Hall of Fame. Unless you want, Slayer to get a Country Music Award. Half hour ago on MSNBC, the reporter breaking news, Giuliani doesn't think Trump will throw him under the bus, but I have insurance. I bet he does. He said that before, though. He said that last week. He said he's got insurance, and then he said he was joking. His attorney said he was joking. Leaned over and said he's joking, of course. Yeah, I'll see if I can Google it when first thing. News. Yeah, a week ago he said this. Let's see. So Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Slim Whitman is a no. Yes, I would agree. Although you could have a little bit of Donny Osmond in it. I'll leave it up to you which part. He is Mormon, though, so eyes up. Just wait till Camden becomes a teenager and starts telling you things about you that you don't know. How that is what you call payback. Believe me, I know. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I have no illusions about Camden's teenage years. I do play ESP guitars. That's true. I'm a big fan. Let's see. Constantly yelling at Blue Lives flag owners because it's a flag code violation. You cannot change the flag colors except soldiers subdue, disrespectful, fake patriots. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a silly one. The thin blue line part of it. The problem is I think they make a problem that isn't actually there, and they desecrate the flag while doing it. Video of Chump with Rudy and drag is probably the tamest video there. Oh my God, I can't watch that. It grosses me out. And I can stomach most things. To quote Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner, I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. And that does it. Woof. Yes, you can have a part of Marie Osmond in the Country Music Hall of Fame. Cam may surprise you by being the best teenager ever. It's entirely possible. Ethan's pretty damn good. And, I've been around him a bunch most of his life. How long have you owned the cloud? I am the cloud. Yes, and thanks for reminding this. Everybody can't stop lying. Thank you to all the Patreon supporters. You guys are fantastic. That part of it has just grown leaps and bounds. We're looking to hit 500, so any support you can give us, please do. But those of you that have been supporters for a while now, I can't tell you how much it means. It's so fantastic and sweet, and I appreciate you. We have 120 patrons right now, and you guys are fantastic. We're trying to hit that magic 500 number, so if you want to join, and if you have to come and go, I completely understand. If you can't support the show that way, you can obviously do it by either buying merch or just show up in the chat room. Just being here helps a lot. And I thank you guys for all the subscriptions, all you guys who have been, smashing the like and being around for that. I appreciate you guys so very much. But go to patreon.com/HalSparks. Support the show. Do us a favor. It's fantastic. I will sell you half of the herd, Hal. Teenage boys are required to go a little bit crazy. This is true. When you get to 500, chat room will become unmanageable. That may be possible. Although not everybody who, it's interesting because not everybody who is in the that's in the kind of Patreon crowd does so kind of verbally. A bunch of you are in here, but some of you some of the folks just sit back and watch. This is just their way of supporting, which is great. So it kind of almost balances out. Yeah, I gotta go. I have to go gargle with salt water. Actually, I am. You can tell I'm getting a little dry. That's true. So, all right. That means 5 more minutes, and then I'm gonna sign off just to protect myself because I do have to sing tonight. I played the original Resident Evil the other day, and that game still holds up 23 years later. It absolutely does, and it's largely because of the camera angles. It's like watching an old horror film. I often sit back and watch the fun. Exactly, Richard. And you've been a great patron for a while now, so I rest my case. Did you listen to the rock band Slade? Yes, indeed. I mean, most people were introduced to Slade through Quiet Riot covering 2 of their songs. But yes. At one point, at 01 is talking about covering Lock Up Your Daughters. So... saltwater gargle, honey tea, or hot toddy. Well, I don't do hot toddies, but yes. Was watching the patron hearings with Pod Save America, went way too fast, could not possibly read it. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, and thank you, Can't Stop Lying, for reminding me. So anytime you want to join us here, folks, please do. We greatly appreciate it. If you're, and again, if you want to be involved, for those of you, I'm talking to the people who aren't in the chat room right now. If you're just watching, hi, I appreciate you showing up. You don't have to be in the chat room, typing away like mad. We know you're there, obviously, and just because you don't, you're just kind of enjoying the show or listening or doing what you're doing or cleaning the house or whatever happens while the show is on, I appreciate you being here because I know you're there. So thanks so much. 5 more Hal minutes, so 30. All right, Ginger, you're right. Did we cover the Cybertruck? No, that's what we'll end on. So anybody see the Tesla Cybertruck? Oh, it was sweet. Oh, it was so sweet. I have to say, like the joke I made, Christopher Titus said, tweeted thoughts, and I said, does it come in a 16-bit version? Which some of you nerdier, gamier types might understand, especially the Twitch folks. Bless your hearts. But I think it looks cool. I like it. It's kind of funky, It stands out. It's it looks like an 8-bit video game part. It looks like something out of oh, thank you, Lisa, mi amor. Thank you so much. It's Yeah, and the unbreakable windows that got smashed. Yeah, it looks like a PlayStation truck. It reminds me of Battlezone. You guys remember the game Battlezone? That was one of my favorite games when I was a kid. It's a vector graphics game, just green lines. You play a tank. So great. Oh, thank you, Lisa. I'll put that towards the campaign then. But so I kind of like it for that reason. I knew you'd know it. Can't stop lying. Thank you, Amy. Musk says it was a success because the metal ball did not go all the way in. That's true, I suppose. How do the windshield wipers work on that? I have no idea. It's a demo truck, and I think they didn't put the proper glass in it, is what happened. Yes, Richard, it does look a bit like the Judge Dredd truck, absolutely. But Battlezone, I loved that game when I was a kid, and it kind of reminds me of that. It's like a grayscale version of Battlezone, so I liked it in that regard. So that's what I was attracted to about it. I think you see him on the street, and I think people would go, that's kind of badass. Like, I guarantee, like, as many negative reactions, there'll be a lot more positive ones, and it stands out. Good leg room in those Mini Cooper. Atari made a version of Battlezone for U.S. Army simulating the Bradley, only 2 cabinets ever made. Oh, that's cool. It looks like the PV from Aliens. It does. You're right, Amos. It does. It looks like the vehicle that they drove, and she was grinding the gears. It's the same kind of angles and stuff. So you do realize we're moving towards a future where most of our stuff looks like stuff from the first Star Wars. And how we get in and out of buildings and all that other stuff will be like magic crystals that hold your DNA and shine. And certain people will have the power to focus their energy on something. And like, when they say like science at its highest level is indistinguishable from magic, there's going to be a point where we're almost there, where you enter your house with a key fob. How is that difference from Merlin walking up to a cave door and going, open sesame, and the whole thing moves apart? I'm just saying, we're pretty close. Mustang electric SUV looks interesting. That's true. One more thing. Do you drive? One more thing. Do you want a job driving a semi? We need someone to haul our cows to sell. No, I don't. But thank you. I don't. Well, here's the thing. I don't mind the idea of doing that. I just don't know how to drive a semi. That's a big deal. That fascinates me, learning how to do that. But that's a lot of moving parts. Just operating the air brakes alone and being able to shift without jackknifing, all that stuff. That's a big deal. I'll say this for it. It's a great price for what it is. $39,900 for the base model seems reasonable. I agree. It's right in there with normal trucks. It's like Star Wars and Mad Max had a test tube baby truck. Yes, Richard, that's right. Tank Command with 2 vertical handles. Yes. So when's Rick Decker going to drive the Tesla truck? My uncle drove a semi for years. He retired as early as he could. It's a lot. I have mad respect for truckers, the work that they do. It's a lot to manage. First thing you drove, Benny Loco? You're a crazy person. That's amazing. Watch the price tag double by the time they are produced. That's possible. Well, after all, you want tires. This is the base model. The base model is just the chassis, and it lays on top of the other. Their whole thing was they were using the bed of the Tesla car with different wheels and different tops, and then it all just clicks on. They've been talking about that. Randy Rose drove a semi but could never reverse park. I was on the flight deck of a C-17 the other day. I imagine trying to fly that one. Yeah. So, all right. I'm signing off because I got to stop talking. You guys are wonderful. I will keep this going. Was it Rick Decker or Hunter on Blade Runner? It was Deckard. So, yeah. So, anyways, you guys, much love to you. Thank you so much. I'm going to sign off. We will be live from Kentucky next weekend because it'll be Thanksgiving weekend. I'll be back east with Camden at my dad's, and it'll be a good time. I got to stop talking. Okay, you guys are wonderful. I'll talk to you later. Have fun. Thank you guys for coming. Don't forget to like and subscribe, thumbs up, all that kind of stuff. If you're not a patron and you're with us regularly, please consider being one. Set a goal. Do it for 3 months or 6 months. If you can't do it all the time, patreon.com/HalSparks. Or you can go to halsparks.com PayPal me/HalSparks. Yeah, paypal.me/HalSparks. If you just want to, give something to the show once and just put a little thing in the description of what it's for HSRPM. So I can allocate it business-wise to that. So it goes to the show. But you guys are wonderful. Thank you guys so much. I will say hi to Amy McGrath. We will definitely do her a solid when we're there. If I think me talking about her will help as a Kentuckian, I will. If I think it won't, I won't. There you go. Stay lifted above the crap line. I will try, Benny Loco. Bless you so much. Thank you guys, everybody. Bye. Yes. Lev to everybody. All you need is Lev.